When the little blue bird, who has never said a word, starts to sing spring, spring. When the little blue bell in the bottom of the dell starts to ring, ding, ding. When the little blue clerk in the middle of his work starts a tune to the moon up above. It is nature that's all simply telling us to fall in love. And that's why birds do it, bees do it, even educated fleas do it. Let's do it. Let's fall in love. Love this song. That is one of the great songs by Cole Porter. Oh, my sheet music here. Cole Porter, lyrics and music. Anything by Cole Porter is wonderful. So hi, everyone. Let me get my mouse ready so I can run down. Hi, everyone. Hi, Perry, Roxanne. Good evening from Knoxville, from Stratford, Dana, from Hillsboro, Oregon. Hi, Elaine. Diane, Cindy from Massachusetts, Chelsea. Hi, everyone. New Jersey, NWPA. Let's see where else we got some people from. Another Oregon, Portland, Oregon. Hi, Sarah. Massachusetts. Wonderful to see everyone. Great. All righty. Are we getting ready for Thanksgiving? Those of us in the U.S.? Canada had their Thanksgiving last month, and now it's our turn. And it's the perfect time of year. I'm in Florida, and it's a little cooler than we normally have in terms of weather this time of year, but it's really pleasant. It's very nice. So before I get started tonight on what we'll be talking about in the Materia Medica, I just want to mention, should you be interested, to check out my course titled Make It Stop, Escape from the Prison of Chronic and Acute Pain Using Practical Homeopathy. And the way to do that is just go to pain.joettecalabrese.com. And then you can download my infographic. I think I showed this last time. There's Lola with all of the concerns that relate to pain. We're going to be dealing with a lot more than this. This is just a little bit of a teaser. So should you be interested, check it out, folks. And then we'll have it for sale for a short time. It's going to be starting online in January sometime. And then it will be taken off the market for a while. And then in about a year or so, we'll probably bring it back on again, just so you know. That's generally the way we run these classes, so that we have time to do all the technical work to it, and we don't move very quickly on that, I'll be honest. So Materia Medica, this is what I'm using. This is what we're going to be talking about tonight, or using as our reference tonight. And this is one remedy that, most medicines, most of these homeopathic medicines have many abilities, many characteristics. They can touch many concerns. They can touch many illnesses. They soften some, completely uproot others. And this one remedy is for both motion sickness and jet lag. But it's also got another component. We'll talk about that in a minute. So it's a great one for travel, for jet lag and motion sickness, for anyone who has difficulty traveling in a car, traveling on a boat, traveling on a plane, not because of claustrophobia. This is a whole different thing with claustrophobia. We would use a completely different medicine. But I've used this when I know that we're going to be hitting turbulent waters and I'm going to feel a little queasy. The name of the medicine is Cocculus indicus, Cocculus. Cocculus, second word is indicus, which indicates where it's from. And it's for motion sickness and jet lag. But we will talk about that. What I want to talk about also, and I didn't mention this in my information that we put out this past week. But I love this medicine for people who are the fulcrum of the care for someone in their home, such as a sick member of the family, and they are overwhelmed and overworked and exhausted, and their circadian rhythms are off. They're not able to sleep very well. And I've heard people say this, wired and tired. Now, I have clients who have told me they've even used that term, wired and tired, and they can't sleep. This is not my first choice for just wired and tired. This is my first choice when it's wired and tired from having been the caretaker of someone in need. Wired and tired, my first thought is another medicine that we've already talked about, and that's coffea. So I think of coffea. I also think of Ignatia for wired and tired, but most often it's coffea. But this is a good maybe tertiary choice or a primary choice if indeed the reason is that the circadian rhythms are off because of jet lag, because of perhaps extreme motion sickness, and especially if you are in charge of taking care of someone. A child who's up all night and is sick, and you're up night after night after night, and you're not getting your sleep, and you're beat. Emotionally, physically, you're beat. Taking care of an elderly parent who is very sick, this is an opportunity to use this medicine, Cocculus indicus. Now, I like to use this medicine in a 30th potency. And it doesn't mean you can't use it in a 200. Doesn't mean you can't use it in a 6. But I find that 30 is good, particularly because normally we're using this as an acute medicine. This is not generally someone who is in a chronic state, although it can be. Sometimes if someone is absolutely overwhelmed and they're browned off with too much in the head and too much in the heart, too much work, and can't calm down, that could potentially be a choice for someone that's in a chronic state of this. But a lot of times, chronic states are developed from an acute state that just got carried away, so to speak. So this is great for our circadian rhythms. I'm going to read from my Materia Medica, where they're upset by jet lag, disrupted by sleep schedule, and the schedule can be extrinsic, such as forced upon you by taking care of a loved one, or from just plain old insomnia from feeling wired and tired. And the causes of motion sickness are usually accompanied by nausea, or cases, of motion sickness are usually accompanied by nausea, fatigue, vertigo, weakness, or a hollow sensation in the stomach. It's an interesting thing. Not everyone describes it that way, but too vested, too tired to sleep, too involved to sleep. So it's also for those who have been feeling weary in general, and it doesn't have to be necessarily for taking care of someone, but that is really a dead ringer. It could be even from overwork at an office. So there's one other place that I like to think about this medicine, and it is not my primary, secondary, tertiary. I don't even know how far to go with this. It's not one of the main ones that I think of. But Cocculus indicus is also great for lumbar pain, I should say it more clearly, for lumbar pain and headaches, also sensitivity to noise, as you can well imagine. If there's insomnia and they're feeling overstressed emotionally and through the central nervous system, it might cause a sensitivity to noise, numbness, or difficulty concentrating. So they can't kind of get back onto their game again because they're so overwhelmed by this sleeplessness, caring for another, and or motion sickness. It's not a very complex medicine. And what I mean by that is if I were to open up another Materia Medica, an old master's Materia Medica, you're not going to find that this is a medicine that goes on for pages and pages and pages. It's a simple medicine. It's got a few simple keynotes, And as I said, the keynotes are motion sickness, jet lag, overworked caregiver, and these pains in the lumbar, headaches, and sensitivity to noise. And that kind of puts it all, kind of makes it rather tidy, so that when the time comes that any one of these conditions are a problem, you know what to go to. So let's say we use it in a 30 potency, Cocculus indicus 30. And if you have a 30th potency kit, of course, that's what you're going to use. If all you can get is a 30C, a 30X, then you're going to use it in a 30X. So whatever you've got available, this is not a protocol. It's only the protocols that I teach in which I say, stay with the correct potencies. Be really specific when it comes to the potencies, because here it is, formulaic, use it this fashion. But with Cocculus and the way I'm teaching this, this is this is materia medica, basic education, and teaching you that you may use it in 630s, 200s. But as I said, I would probably use it in a 30 to start. If I felt like it was helping, but it wasn't helping quite enough, I might go to the 200. Now, that's a very classical way of approaching it, and there's certainly nothing wrong with doing that. And then how often? People will be certainly asking me now, how frequently should this person be taking this medicine? And I'd say that if it was for motion sickness, you don't want to take it twice a day, because by the time nighttime comes, that motion sickness is probably over with. But if you know you suffer from motion sickness and you know you're going to be on a boat, or you're on a boat and it's already starting to get into the pitch and yaw of a boat, then that's when you take it right away. I would take it even prophylactically if you were on a boat and you knew how sensitive you were. It's a good one to have on hand. Now let's say, and then you could take it every, let's say it's a 30th potency, you could take it every, even every 15 minutes, say for the first hour, and then after that, more infrequently every, say, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours. But as soon as it starts acting, then I'd back off a little bit and look for that space of time that would work best. So if you can find that you can get away with only taking it every 3 hours, that's what to do. But you'll figure that out. Now let's say instead it's for someone who has insomnia, can't sleep, they're wired and tired. I would use that at night before bedtime. And in that case, I would use either the 30 or 200. This is where I might go to the 200. And especially if we know that it's someone who's been taking care of someone else and they are overworked caregivers, then in that case, I would consider probably, you could still use a 30, but now I'm leaning more and more towards the 200. You know, in classical homeopathy, they would say, well, because it's more psychological, we go to a higher potency. I don't necessarily find that to be so, but I do find that 200s are really great for many psychological conditions. So we use Orm in a 200, we use Ignatia in a 200, we use Califas often in a 200. So these are the medicines. Coffea is psychological, we use that in a 200. So I like the 200s when we get into the more psychological aspects. And then in that case, we might use it twice a day, every day. Morning, night, morning, every 12 hours. But especially if it's noted at night, make sure that nighttime potency or that nighttime dosage is in there. All righty. I think we've got it. Let's see some of our questions that are coming in. All right. Hi, people are still saying hi. Watching from Mississippi. Here's Newberry, Ohio, Kentucky, Louisiana, Australia. Nice to see people from other parts of the earth. Northwestern Pennsylvania. Nova Scotia. Yes, Canada. There we go. Nice. Very nice. Yeah, my husband's going to Newfoundland next week sometime, or a couple weeks from now. Illinois, Sue. Okay, here we go. New York. Okay, let's see. I should take this for losing sleep while my dog suffers from UTI. You bet, but give the dog the UTI medicine, and then you won't have, nobody will have to suffer. And if you want to know where to do that, how to find that, just Joette Calabrese, urinary tract infection. If you don't find that, use the synonym, Joette Calabrese, bladder infection, etc. Cystitis, that's what you do it that way. You'll find I give it, it's right there. It's all out there for you. Also for lumbar pain. That's right. Michigan. Here we go. Calculus. Trying to be routine for tired nursing mothers of newborns. I don't think of this as my first choice, because it's not that the baby is a newborn and that person is just, I don't know that I made it very clear. It's not that the person is just up at night, although that is a big part of this. But there's an aspect of this medicine in which there's a psychological part to it, where there's worry with someone who's ill. It's not so much because the baby's up and it's just nursing again, but certainly I would use the China. I do talk about that a lot for lack of or loss of fluids. Hi, Christy. Would calculus be good for dizziness, headaches, nausea, inability to sleep due to positional dizziness that may be brought on by malposition of the crystals in the ear? It would not be my first choice. But hey, you never know. Could it be that this person has more to it than that? Maybe there is worry. If you investigate a little bit further, you might want to do that. No, it is not my first choice. But sometimes we become surprised at how these medicines will span more conditions than we thought. Finding cancer and can't get but 1 hour of sleep a night. Would this work for coffea? Fighting cancer and can't get but 1 hour of sleep per night. Would this work, or would coffea? I can't say that it would be coffea, but can't get more. It sounds to me like fighting an illness means the person is actually suffering from pain or great discomfort that's related to the condition. It's possible. It's possible. But I don't know. My first thought would be more coffea. And then I would use it twice daily, excuse me. And then here's the thing. When you try medicine, let's say this person tries the medicine and the coffea. They use it twice a day, say late afternoon and then evening, or noon and evening. So it's about 10 hours apart. Or they can do it before bed, or just, around 7, 8, 9 in the evening, and then wait till they wake up. If they happen to fall asleep and they wake up in the middle of the night, they can save it for that second, that middle of the night dose. And they try that for a few days or a week, and there's no change, or they're worse. If they're worse, it's time to stop. Don't assume that if you're worse, it's the right medicine. I don't see that happens when we use these medicines so frequently. That's more of a classical method in which you're only using one dose, maybe 2 doses. Maybe you're doing a split dose where it's split over a period of 36 hours or 48 hours. Then you might have an aggravation, but not the method that I teach. This method, you're repeating the medicines, so there's really not an awful lot of an opportunity to utilize or for the medicine to overstimulate, because just as it's about to overstimulate, in comes the next dose and it tamps it down gently. So I don't know that I think I lost my train of thought on that. So don't look for, I think what my point was don't look for an aggravation. Calculus for stomach pain described as swirling and twirling, but unrelated to actual motion sickness. No, not my first thought. And that's not where I would go. How about law enforcement who works nights? Sergeant working midnight shift full of traumatic events. It's a possibility, but it's not it's also not my first thought. I think of I'll bet there are some traumatic events. And then not able to sleep. This person's not telling me if her husband's not able to sleep. She's just telling me about working nights. I don't know what the condition is. So we don't just use this like we would a supplement or a vitamin. We have to have a condition. I don't know what the condition is. So I see the Materia Medica says this is good for less sleep due to grief. So would one type of grief be that of having a child move away? Possibly. Again, not my first thought. I always think of Ignatia for that. Doesn't mean this couldn't work, but I think it has more to do with grief in dealing with working with the suffering. night watching, spending all in through the night where your elderly father is very sick and your lazy boy chair is right next to his bed, and you are tending to him through the night, and you're getting not as much sleep as you should. And just as you fall asleep, he's in need and you have to get up and put a cool cloth on his forehead. That's the way I think of this medicine. It's for the person who is the fulcrum of the care for others who are in need. If you're working on an expedition for 4 to 8 weeks and are normally okay, but struggle with very rough seas, with this help when it's very rough, you bet, Rachel. Exactly what we would use it for. Altitude sickness? No, it's not for altitude sickness. Will we be talking about that? I don't know if we even talk about that medicine here. Have we spoken about that? No, I don't think I put it in my Materia Medica, because that medicine, believe it or not, the main medicine is, I mean, I will talk about it at some point though. Altitude sickness is a good, good subject to discuss at some point. I will at some point talk about it. And I think we have got it wrapped. This is probably not a very populated event, right, Perry? Is this a very populated event? How many people do we? I don't see the numbers.
170.
170 people. But what we normally happens is we get about 200 people who watch this, 160 to 220 who watch these every Monday night, so that you know it's every Monday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We're coming up on our 1-year anniversary of having done these. But then if you miss this, of course, or if your family members miss it and you want to pass this along, by all means, certainly let them know, because this is up now for as long as they keep these things up. So it looks good. Thanks for all the hearts. I feel the same way. It's wonderful to see everyone. Okay, let's see. We got a couple more questions here. Does this differ from the caregiver who needs Ignatia? Ignatia is more grief. Calculus is more effort. Being awakened, get up, work and take care of the person, go back down, try to sleep, can't sleep. It's an actual involved person who is physically involved with the caretaking of someone else. Ignatia is grief from afar. Someone passes away. You're not doing anything. You're just grieving. Let's see. The situations you are describing sound like they are short-term situations. Often they are, but not always, because it can start from something. Oh my goodness, my nose is so itchy. I think it's the lipstick I put on. What about for long-term situations in which a caregiver is taking care of a spouse who is chronically ill and will not get better, yet they are still alive despite doctors saying they won't last long? Yeah, it's the caregiver, and the situation calls for or causes this person to have insomnia, and their circadian rhythms are off, and they're fatigued, or they have back pain, or they have headaches, anything that I've described. As a result of that, now you've got a dead ringer. So should I take coffee if I'm just overly tired and not a caregiver? Overly tired could be coffee. And if that doesn't act, then you can certainly consider this if someone is overtired and still can't sleep. This is kind of the lower level. All right. Vancouver, thank you. You're very welcome. Love these, and thank you. I love them too. Can you compare calculus to tobacco for travel sickness symptoms, symptom-wise? Well, tobacco is just pretty much nausea for travel sickness and motion sickness. They are very, very close in terms of how they help. But I think that you might find that tobacco is chronic nausea, although this can have chronic nausea all during the whole trip of movement. Let me think if I can be more specific than that. I don't know that you would. I would say that tobacco is more extreme nausea. Let's put it that way. Let me put it that way, that it's a more violent nausea. It's vomiting and nausea. This can be vomiting too, but this is more no, I would just say tobacco's more extreme. Let's put it that way. All righty. How about stress from working during that manifest into disorganization of your orientation of time and life? Not sure what day it is. If that comes as a result of the circadian rhythms being off, then yes. If it's not from that, then, or something else that's related to this, I would say, I don't see it. Yes, happy Thanksgiving to all of you. For some reason, you've not been automatically showing up on my Facebook. So glad I remembered it's Monday. Gee, I'm sorry to hear that. And I think we have got it, everyone. It's wonderful to see you. Now, what I want you to do is go out, use these medicines, and do good. And have a great Thanksgiving. And God bless all of you. Good night.